like I said, they pushed me off the phone in a quick conversation. I reached back out to my principal because I said that I wanted to more like have a better understanding of like what happened and like why I'm being let go. And she did. And then I like told her about how I felt it was because like I had brought concerns about the school to her, and she just like thought it was easier to get rid of me than like, and she kept saying, no, that wasn't the case, that they had to let me go because, you know, sometimes I wouldn't start my guided reading groups on time. I might start them 10 minutes later than we were supposed to. But like, you're really going to fire someone because they started a lesson 10 minutes late.
And that's, I mean, that's what companies do, right? Like at Amazon, that guy in New York who was like saying, hey, this is what's wrong with Amazon. They get rid of that person thinking they get rid of the problem.
Right.
But when one person speaks up, that's because like 10 other people or 20 other people are thinking the same thing and not saying it.
Like, I wasn't the only one who thought these things about the school. Like when we would go out for drinks on a Friday, 10, 15 other teachers would be saying the same thing. I was just probably the only one who was actually saying it to admin's face. So like they had an enemy.
But it's the same thing with like these, look how it ties to these protests, right? People probably see the protests and they'll see thousands of people. They're like, those people are crazy. There's millions of other people who aren't marching, but who agree with those protesters, right? So you can beat them up and lock them up or shut them up, but you're not getting rid of the problem. And we all agree it's a problem. We're just not, you know, most of the people who agree are not in the street.
Yeah.
And so just like with you, like most of the teachers agreed with you, but you were the only one saying it. And so it doesn't make sense to me why they would get rid of you and not fix the problem, because it's a problem.
Well, money.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to money. Yeah. And I think they made a lot of comments how I did not like push the academic side of my teaching as much as I pushed like social emotional learning. But like, I believe in meeting kids where they're at. So like if I have a group of 6-year-olds who like have no coping skills for their emotions whatsoever and like are tantruming and fighting with each other, like I'm not going to be struggling through that while they're yelling and screaming at me running around the classroom to teach them math. Like we need to do some other things right now, maybe some deep breathing or like something different. But like, and I feel like they were not about that. I learned to find out, but they let me do it for 2 entire years without speaking up or saying a word to me that it was a problem, and then fired me for it.
Just by having a soft hand with kids having a tantrum?
Yeah. They said I wasn't pushing the urgency of academics hard enough. But like,
wow, that is some evil ass language. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait, say it again.
I wasn't pushing the urgency of academics hard enough. Like I was like, wow. I was too soft on them. Like I cared too much about who they were as
get them
people.
in line. That's all that means. Get them in line.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, that's not my style. That's not my style. Like, yeah.
That's how people talk. Like when they're saying like, we need to get the protests and we need to control the protests. They'll say something like that, where it's like, we need to have the best interests of democracy in our, you know, they're just saying like, no, we're going to beat up protesters, you know, and that's the system. The system, you know, that's the system talking in your charter school. You know, it's everywhere. I try to tell people like, the system's not this thing in the sky or somewhere in DC. It's everywhere. It's like in every minute of your life. It's how you think. It's trained you since you were a baby by what you saw and heard and everything around you, right?
Yeah. And it's just like, it breaks my heart, honestly, because
it does, man. It's tiring.
My kids, this class I had this past year was by far my favorite class I've ever had as a teacher. And like, just thinking about those beautiful kids, like knowing that their education from this point on depends on the people in charge of that school. Like, it's heartbreaking to me because they deserve so much better. Like so much better.